Alright, I'm going to start this update off with my peppers. I've transplanted them and finally got them, they're starting to strengthen up and grow good. I've had some bug problems, but I've fertilized, composted, and I also put down some of this mulch, and they really perked up. So I think they're going to make it. You know, when the weather cools down a little bit, they'll be in good shape. And here's my 2 tomato plants that I have in pots. We've been eating tomatoes off of them, and they're growing along pretty good. I've had a problem with hornworms, and I've just been getting out in the morning at dusk, was when they really are active, and been picking them off. This is the Amelia. I've picked 3 tomatoes off of this, and they were not the most, nothing like an heirloom tomato, but man, they blow away a store-bought tomato any day. But let me get to what I've really been doing here lately, is that I've built 2 very tall raised beds, and they're about 20 inches deep in soil, not counting what I tilled up in the ground. They're 4x4, 2 of them, and I've got me a tomato plant growing here that this is the one that I grew from a sucker off of one of the other plants, and it's July 7th, and so they should be fully mature and producing by you know, October, and if the weather holds out, we don't get an early freeze or something, I'll have quite a few tomatoes. Here's one of the beds. As you can see, it's quite deep. It took a lot of soil and a little bit of money to fill this bad boy, and but it is extremely strong. I put it together. I got angle brackets running down the entire length of the corners, and what I did was this is not pressure treated wood. This is standard wood, and I took linseed oil and I saturated the wood with linseed oil, which is a natural preservative, and then I stained the outside with a water-based gray stain, and the beds are lined with a plastic, and I put a mesh in the bottom of these planters to keep the moles out, because we have pretty heavy mole population here, lots of grubs and lots of moles, but there's no way a rabbit or a mole is going to dig up in there. A rabbit could probably hop up in there, and I'll deal with that when I can. In each corner right now I have a tomato plant planted that I grew from seed, and I filled the hole with a little bit of fertilizer and lime and mulch, black gold, or not mulch, I should say compost, black gold. And let me show you about my compost. You're going to like this. Now check this out. We're going to take a walk down to my property. My property, my neighbor, both of my neighbors on each side of me and myself purchased the land back in these woods. Yeah, you know, we each purchased what goes from our yard back. It goes about 75 feet back, and on the other end of the property it goes 125 feet back and across, and that's our property, and it's just woods. And what we do is we put all our leaves and cuttings, and we pile it up here. The stuff's been around here for we've been doing this for 20 years. There's it looks a little soil. I put some soil on there, but that's leaf mulch. That leaf mulch is 2 years old, because it was just spread out on the ground. It took forever to really break down, but let's see if we can get a close-up here. That's some good stuff right there. That's not compost necessarily, it's more leaf mulch, but you know, hey, that's the way to garden right there. I've got another pile going here further down in the woods a little bit. I've got some old trees. A tree fell and I turned it into a little contained area here, as you can see. And then here's my I've got this covered up where it doesn't get too wet, and lots of weeds and greens and leaves, and we put all our food waste in here, coffee grounds, and I tell you what, I just turned this over is why it's so bulky. But I harvested probably, I can harvest 10 gallons every couple weeks out of between these two piles of, and a screened compost. I screen it out a little further down the trail. Here you go. Here's another leaf pile spread out. This used to be a pretty tall pile, and I used some of it for my compost pile. And but this is, you know, that stuff will compost real nice. All right, let's go further down. You can hear all the wildlife, and I mean, I've walked down here, and deer. I turned around and there's a deer almost right in my face, you know, and 20 foot away from me. We usually scare each other and run in the opposite directions. So there's a lot of wildlife here, and as you can see here, this is a lot of brush and tree limbs and whatnot that I'd cut 2 or 3 months ago. Underneath all that, though, is piles of leaves, pine needles. We cut down 16 pine trees that had overgrown themselves and were threatening to damage the house if a limb fell. So there's a lot of pine needle, which is good nitrogen, lots of leaves and branches and tree limbs and decayed matter. And if you were to lift, go up under here, there is pure, very dark compost up under there, and it's probably 2 foot deep, and it's probably enough to fill 4 or 5 square foot gardens easily. Just fill them. So I'm harvesting that stuff and piling it and creating kind of got a system going here of ready mulch, midway done mulch, or I keep saying mulch, I mean compost. You know, there's different levels of compost going on here all the time. And right now it's July 7th, so, and it stays pretty moist here. If you look at the ground, this is where there was a pile of mulch, and I didn't even dig all the way down. It's almost turned into just soil. I mean, but this is, it sinks when you walk on it, let me put it that way. So I've got a gold mine back here from all the years that I didn't even think about it. My neighbor, myself, we would dump all our clippings, our leaves, our branches, everything we ever done in our property that was natural, we had to get rid of. We just dumped it down in the woods off this little trail. And now it's turning into something that we can, or I can use. My neighbor doesn't garden anymore. So I've got a good abundance of mulch, leaf type. You know, I can use this as alright, the camera cut off on me for whatever reason, but I wanted to show the mulch I harvested this morning. I harvested, you know, pretty good chunk. Look at that. That's black gold. I mean, you can't put nothing better in your garden, and that's why I've been working so hard down there in the woods and digging and fussing over, is to get this stuff right here. You know, you put a plant in the ground, put a little bit of that, a handful of that around it, and you're good to go. I'm just keeping it loosely covered at the time being, because I'm going to use it. I mean, you can't have enough compost. But anyway, thanks for watching. I'll post another update here shortly, because I have a couple other things, but I don't have a director's account, so I can only have so much video time here. And I'll see you shortly. Thank you.